to our 2026 Garfield High School Symphony Orchestra Concerto Concert. First of all, a round of applause for all four of our upcoming performers. And so I'm not going to reiterate everything I already said in my director's note in the program there, but I mean, to keep it simple and short, I'm so proud of the work these kids have put in to prepare this music. We begin this process back in October. Every year we always start this process very, very early. These students have been, most of them have been working on this concerto for much, much longer than that. And a huge undertaking. It's just such a, not only a physical undertaking and a demonstration of just sheer dedication, it's also, the part that people don't really see is that it's a huge emotional undertaking as well. You put so much of yourself in these pieces that you have to, you listen to these different recordings and try to sound like the people that have played this concerto before you, and it does feel like you put a lot of yourself into it in a way that a lot of people don't get to experience very often. It's a very, very special thing that I get to share with these wonderful students. We're first going to begin this concert tonight by me not forgetting to introduce myself. As I do with half of concerts, I'm Mr. Sant. I am lucky enough to be the director of all these wonderful students on stage, including our guest symphony winds and percussion. Very, very grateful that they've agreed to be our guests. They volunteer to show up they're not even in a class that I teach. They show up one morning every single week, and just because they want to be here to be a part of this orchestra experience, and we're very, very, very grateful to them for that. And we're gonna get things started off here with a senior that has been truly an incredible force, to the point where I think it's the closest we have in orchestra to a specific orchestra meme. It's so specific to how orchestra is, in that if you could almost take all the Chuck Norris jokes in history and make them about John Miranda, and it would just have the same kind of impact. Like John Miranda doesn't do push-ups, he pushes the earth in the other direction, that kind of thing. The freshmen they've invented all sorts of lore and stories about him, none of which are true, but it doesn't matter because it's the magic that is John Miranda. But really, truly, from my side of things, it's been such an incredible experience being able to work with all three of these seniors for the last 3 years as their orchestra director, but in that process, seeing them grow through their experience of being in symphony orchestra and navigating these challenges. And John has done an incredible job this year. And I find myself incredibly grateful with how much he has helped. He has given so much to this program, and that I know he also does orchestra things outside of school. He loves mentoring younger students. He's helped run my classes while I've been gone for any given reason. Just an overall incredible force and an incredible benefit to this program, and I think a person that I've never heard a single student say a single bad thing about. Just a person who treats everybody incredibly well, on top of being an incredibly, incredibly gifted and hardworking musician. Please welcome John Miranda performing Eduardo Lalo's Symphony Español. Thank y'all so much. And there will be, as you probably noticed in the program already, all the concertos you're going to hear tonight are all violin players, which means they're all in the first violin section, which means we're going to be doing a little bit of the, you're going to see some shuffling going on tonight. Coming up next, debrief later. Coming up next is a student that I'm trying to figure out where I even wanted to start, but I realized I'm just going to start with the most obvious place, which is the place that she definitely didn't want me to start with, but here it is. So I got to meet Kelly when she was in 6th grade, back in the years that I taught at Washington Middle School. And I met Kelly when she, there you go, yeah, that's I met Kelly because after school one day, and Kelly came running to my room upset. I had not met this child, which, you know, honestly, whenever a 6th grader runs into my room upset, like, I get it. Being a 6th grader in general it can be pretty awful. So I just assumed that you were just crying because being a 6th grader. But there was an issue with her getting picked up, and I think she was worried. And it makes sense, you know, you're in 6th grade, and you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna get home. It's a little terrifying. So that was my first interaction with Kelly, was her running into my room being like, I don't know how I'm gonna get home. So since then, it wouldn't surprise you to know that she has grown tremendously. And really though, truly, on a real note though, I have, in the last 3 years especially, I've gotten to see Kelly go from a person who is she's very obviously aware of her surroundings. She's very conscientious of those around her, but in this past year especially, I've gotten to see Kelly really, really, truly flourish in what it looks like to be a leader in this space. And not only in this, she's also very active in our drama department as well, and does both incredibly well, is always willing to lend a hand. She's volunteered for so many different things this year, whether it's, you know, waltz planning or planning activities for our CVEC retreat, or doing decoration, so many things that she's willing to lend her time to make sure that this is a good experience for everybody. And I think that's just such a beautiful thing to find in a student, just in high school students, where it's so easy to be focused on yourself because you're kind of figuring out who you are, and it's rare to see a student that is that able to really, really think about how do I make things better for other people. So it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Kelly Habercorn performing Scene de Ballet. because I get to rehearse that like all the time. It's really fun. So we're going to keep this moving, and while we are going to keep some of our wind players on stage here for our final concerto after this, this is a strings-only concerto featuring one of the seniors that I feel like I've really gotten to know the most this year. She's been in orchestra with me for the last 2 years before this as well. Always been obviously a very, very, very pleasant kid, super, super kind, very, very thoughtful. But I feel like I really got to know her a lot more this year in seeing her, through this process. Honestly, I feel like you get to know a student pretty well through the process of preparing something this difficult. And what I've seen grow through this process for Aviva, who will be coming out next, is just so much strength and confidence coming through in this process. That's, like I mentioned before, this is such a hugely emotional undertaking that to feel like you're under that much pressure and to still just show up every day and be like, no, I'm going to keep getting better at this. And the results you hear are going to be obviously nothing short of incredible. Please help me welcome to the stage Aviva Ralston. Playing Oscar readings, Concerto in Hungarian style. First again, I just want to thank you all again for coming out here tonight. Really, really appreciate you being here. We have one more concerto for you. Before I get into anything here, I do want to remind y'all, and I think a lot of you are already aware of this, but orchestra etiquette is when there's a piece like this that has more than one movement, which this one has two. After the second movement, you're actually not supposed to clap in between movements. So you'll see me hold my hands up, and then don't clap it. There's two separate parts to it. So, before we get into that, you're going to be hearing from a senior that I also did technically get to meet him when he was in middle school. He wasn't exactly necessarily vocally upset to me about being in middle school. That's a different thing. I mostly met him tangentially, and really what I just heard was the variety of orchestra teachers that I worked with in my time there would just say things like, "Oh man, this Gavin kid, he's just such a great kid." It got me like just gushing about how awesome this kid was, because we teachers do that. I'm married to one, and I hang out with plenty. And yeah, you find yourself over time just being like, oh my gosh, it's such a fun thing to just focus on those kids that just kind of made your day just because they did something really just thoughtful, or they just kind of give you a good example of like, oh man, that's just a great kid that just makes you feel good to teach sometimes. And obviously in high school, you kind of just have all of that. But middle schoolers, they really stand out that way. So having met Gavin a couple years back as his own director now in high school, and seeing him grow through high school has been truly an incredible experience, in that he is also very, very willing, similar to his, from what I understand, to be nearly lifelong stand partner, John. Similar in the sense that they both, and in this case Gavin specifically, he loves making sure that people have what they need. He wants to give his time, he wants to be supportive of others. He's very, very conscientious of making sure that he doesn't take the intelligence and the abilities that he has, and he doesn't let that get to his head. He keeps a good head on his shoulders. He stays humble while also playing some truly incredible music. And I'm going to let you hear that now. You're going to hear Gavin play the second and third movements of the Kabalevsky Violin Concerto. Please welcome to the stage, Gavin Fisher. wonderful senior concerto. Now, I do believe that our wind players are going to bring you something special when you get up there. Or you want to do it now? Be right back, if you don't mind waiting. While I have them here just for a quick moment, again, this has been my absolute pleasure preparing this music. And for those of you, everyone that was here a couple weeks ago, we had a concert one school week ago in this same stage. And really, it's one of my favorite parts about working with this group in particular, that we have so many things that just kind of go on throughout the year that we're not really just in one mode at a time. We're always kind of juggling all these things, and I think it makes for a really, really special musical experience getting to prepare all these different, kind of differently challenging pieces of music throughout the year. And again, it's such a pleasure to get to work with these incredible soloists with so much time they've invested, and all these extra morning rehearsals and all of the extra stuff, the sectionals. The work really, really, really showed up. So I'm very, very proud of to be the director for the four of you. And the Winds got together and thought, they should bring you some flowers. So, one more round of applause, please, for our four. And once more, the whole symphony orchestra, please, on your feet. For the strings, for the winds, for the percussion. Okay, there is going to be a reception upstairs with some very delicious looking passion fruit cake. Oh my goodness, it looks so good, y'all. There's also a gluten-free option. Please join us up there to celebrate with some cake and some punch and some bubbly, sparkly water. And also, don't forget, for our year-end concert, there's one more concert here featuring this group on this stage, as well as our other orchestras, as well as our bands, for our final year-end senior recognition concert, spring concert. It has like 5 names at one time, on June 11th, right in this space. So I hope to see you all up there for the reception. Thank you all for coming. Have a good night.